Imagine experiencing a love so intense, like so completely overwhelming, that it feels like an ancient fatal poison in your blood.
Right, just completely earth-shattering.
Yeah, exactly. But now imagine having to process that exact same mythic world-ending emotion through, read receipts, delayed texts, and a perfectly curated social media feed.
It's essentially a system crash.
It really is. I mean, it's like trying to run a 12th century operating system on a modern smartphone.
Yeah.
The hardware of our frictionless everyday lives literally cannot process that kind of chaotic ancient software.
No, it just completely breaks down.
And that system crash is exactly what we're exploring in today's deep dive. We've got our hands on an exclusive stack of sources today. We're talking early script notes, conceptual outlines, and the raw lyrics for a track called Medieval Poison.
Which is such a great title.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And it's a foundational piece of the upcoming autumn album project, Lynnheage Symphonic.
But now I am the guardian of the rose that pours medieval poison in your breast and casts a spell.
So our mission today is to really tear into this collision between raw ancient human desire and our hyper-digital reality.
And what's fascinating here is that the stakes in these notes are incredibly high. I mean, this isn't just a standard music review or like a breakdown of a typical breakup song.
Right.
We are looking at a survival manual. The core question the artist is asking here is how an unpolished, fiercely organic emotion manages to survive or completely fracture when it finds itself trapped inside a modern mechanical grid.
A grid of screens and data.
Exactly. Screens, data, and deliberate emotional distance.
So to really understand this, the sources anchor the entire project in a concept they call anthropodigital philosophy.
Yes.
And I have to be honest, when I first read that term, my immediate reaction was to roll my eyes a bit.
Oh, sure. It sounds very academic.
Yeah. I thought, isn't anthropodigital just a pretentious way of saying we all stare at our smartphones too much?
It does sound like that at first glance.
Right. But the deeper I got into the lyrics, the more I realized it's not really about screen time at all. It's about incompatible frequencies.
That's actually the perfect way to look at it. It's about opposing currents. Anthropodigital philosophy, at least as it's framed in this album, isn't a critique of technology per se.
Okay.
It's more of a diagnosis of a modern tension. So on one side, you have this organic, high-voltage current of human emotion. It's messy, it's demanding, deeply vulnerable.
The human element.
Right. And then on the other side, you have the cold telemetry of modern life. I mean, we use digital analytics, tactical response times, and carefully crafted avatars to basically maintain a safe distance from one another.
Wow. Yeah, we really do.
So the philosophy is exploring the friction that happens when flesh hits data.
Flesh hits data. I like that. And the lyrics of Medieval Poison capture that friction with such a weird, unsettling image.
They really do.
There's a stanza in the notes that talks about existing in this uncanny threshold of desires where, and I'm quoting here, mice run the show and bite electric wires.
Such a visceral image.
Okay, let's unpack this for a second.
And casts a spell in lyrical repose on springs that never come.
When you think about sustaining a profound, soul-shaking relationship today, you aren't usually battling dragons or crossing oceans, right?
No, you're battling the mice.
You are battling the mice. You have this massive, earth-shattering connection, but it's mediated by trivialities, the delayed text message, the anxiety of seeing someone active online but not responding to you.
Exactly.
Those are the mice quietly chewing away at the heavy electric infrastructure of a real connection.
It's a death by 1,000 cuts, really. The sheer triviality of the medium is slowly destroying that high-voltage wire.
Yeah.
But what makes this anthropodigital concept so compelling is the dual reality it forces us to live in. While the wires are being chewed through behind the scenes, the lyrics describe an entirely different situation out front.
On the stage.
Right, what they call the public stage. In the physical world, or, on our curated digital feeds, we are forced to perform our daily routines with absolute composure. We have to sit in a coffee shop totally terrified and heartbroken on the inside while outwardly looking like we are just casually scrolling the news.
Oh, man. The lyric actually says, while on the stage, my heart recites the fear and a magician makes me disappear.
Yeah.
We are pulling off this magic trick every single day.
Yeah.
We just vanish behind a mask of normalcy.
We do.
But you can't hide a massive, mythic emotion behind a screen forever. Eventually, it demands space. It erupts.
It has to go somewhere.
Right. And that's exactly the crisis the song introduces when it gets to the title track's namesake. The speaker says, "But now I am the guardian of the rose that pours medieval poison in your breast."
Now, if you are just casually listening to that line, it's very easy to fall into a traditional, somewhat tired romantic trope.
Which is exactly what I assumed on the first read.
Right. The standard interpretation would be that the rose is a metaphor for the partner.
Like classic knight in shining armor imagery.
Exactly. The speaker is the chivalrous guardian watching over a fragile woman from behind the glass of their digital distance, protecting her from the harsh world.
Yeah, but here's where it gets really interesting, because the conceptual outlines completely blow up that interpretation.
They explicitly reject it.
They do. The rose isn't the person he is guarding. The rose is the love itself.
Which completely rewires the whole narrative.
It really does.
If the rose represents this volatile, prohibited form of human connection that has suddenly manifested between them, then, he is not a caretaker watching over a person.
Right.
He's the custodian of a dangerous ancient relic.
Yeah.
The love is treated almost like an independent entity, like a force of nature that has chosen these two people as its vessels.
And it forces this very strange division of labor between the two lovers. Look at the mechanics of the phrasing. I am the guardian of the rose that pours medieval poison in your breast.
Right, so they have distinct roles.
Exactly. He is the bearer of the historical burden. He is the one standing in the dark, holding this incredibly dangerous force, trying to keep the flame of it alive without letting it burn their entire lives to the ground.
And she is the recipient. She's the one whose internal system is permanently inoculated by the intensity of it.
Wow, inoculated.
Yeah, because even as she goes out onto that public stage, participating in the performative noise, pretending everything is fine, she is fundamentally altered underneath.
That just changed.
Completely. She has tasted something entirely real, and you simply cannot untaste something like that.
No, you can't.
Her digital avatar might smile and look perfectly normal, but her internal wiring has been completely rewritten by this connection.
I mean, I understand the gravity of that, but I really have to push back on the language here.
Okay, go ahead.
Blue waters in our deserts. For not too late, we learn we are always asking for the impossible to be. We are always longing.
He says he is pouring a medieval poison into her breast. If this connection is so profound, so rare and real in a world of fake digital noise, why use the word poison?
It's a fair question.
Because love, especially a profound one, is culturally sold to us as a healing force. It's supposed to make you whole. So why frame the ultimate connection as something toxic?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, we have to look at the specific lineage the artist is drawing from.
Okay.
The phrase medieval poison is a direct tether to the great tragic archetypes, most notably the myth of Tristan and Isolde.
Oh, I see where this is going.
Right, because this isn't a swipe right romance. This isn't about finding someone whose hobbies match yours on a dating app. In the myth, Tristan and Isolde accidentally drink a fatal love potion on a ship.
And it seals their fate.
Exactly. It doesn't just make them fall in love, it acts as an irrevocable inoculation against the normal world. It is a poison because it completely spoils both of them for ordinary society.
Oh, wow. That completely shifts the perspective. Because once Isolde drinks that potion, she can't just go back and be a normal, dutiful queen to King Mark.
No, she can't.
The structured court life, the politics, the polite conversations, it all just becomes absurd to her.
Precisely. And Tristan can't just be a loyal, everyday knight anymore. The mundane social duties they're expected to perform become entirely hollow.
Because they've seen the real thing.
Exactly. The love is toxic to their normal lives because it cannot be integrated into a structured, everyday routine. I mean, have you ever experienced something so deeply visceral that returning to your 9-to-5 job the next day felt like walking through a simulation?
Oh, 100%. It's surreal.
That is the medieval poison. It destroys the comfortable, mundane world we all spend so much time trying to build.
It's the ultimate incompatibility.
Yeah.
You've touched the absolute, so the ordinary is ruined for you.
Right.
And the sources actually layer another myth on top of this that explains the mechanics of how they have to live with this poison.
Yes, they do.
The lyrics talk about existing on an uncanny threshold and in lyrical repose. And that immediately brought to mind Orpheus and Eurydice.
It's a brilliant connection. With Orpheus, he descends into the underworld to retrieve his love, Eurydice, but the condition is he cannot look back at her until they reach the daylight. Right.
The love in medieval poison exists in that exact same shadow state.
Right.
It lives on a threshold.
Because if you try to drag this kind of uncompromising shadow love into the harsh, structured daylight of the real world, the world of mortgages, scheduling conflicts, and social expectations, it is destroyed.
The daylight burns it away.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the absolute tragedy is that keeping it safely in the dark means you have to stand there and watch it turn into grief. You are trapped in the underworld with it.
Yeah.
You can't bring it into the light, but leaving it in the dark is agonizing.
Which brings us to the existential core of this deep dive. If this love cannot survive in the daylight and it actively ruins you for the ordinary world, where does that leave the lovers?
It sounds like a recipe for a total psychological breakdown.
It is. And the lyrics tackle this exact crisis head on. The focus shifts from the interpersonal dynamic of the two lovers to a massive commentary on the human condition itself. Yeah, the imagery takes a really devastating turn here. The notes highlight a stanza that says, and I'll read it, "We dig in barren land, may God have mercy, for not too late we learn we are always asking for the impossible to be. We are always longing for what can never be."
Wow.
Digging in barren land, that's such a visceral image of wasted effort.
It is the ultimate image of existential frustration. We essentially transition from the romantic figure guarding a rose to the absurd figure of Sisyphus.
Oh, Sisyphus pushing the boulder.
Exactly. In Greek mythology, he was condemned by the gods to push a massive boulder up a mountain only to watch it roll back down over and over for eternity.
Right.
Digging in barren land is the exact same punishment. It is spending infinite, exhausting emotional energy cultivating a soil that, by the fundamental laws of nature, cannot yield life.
Because they are demanding an exception to the rules of reality. The sources mentioned they're looking for a painless thorn or blue waters in a desert.
They want a paradox.
Yeah, they want the intensity of the love without the tragic constraints of the real world.
And here, the conceptual notes make a crucial link to the French philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre.
Okay, Sartre.
Sartre famously diagnosed the human condition by declaring that man is a useless passion.
Man is a useless passion. That is such a bleak phrase. What does that actually mean in practice?
Well, it means that human consciousness naturally, desperately longs for absolute union. We have this deep-seated desire to completely merge with another person, to bridge the gap between two isolated minds and achieve total fullness.
Right.
But Sartre argues we are trapped in a finite physical world where that kind of absolute, unshakable union is structurally impossible.
Because we're separate.
Exactly. We are separate entities. We have different perspectives, different physical bodies, different histories. The passion is useless because its ultimate goal can never be achieved.
Wow.
Desire doesn't exist to be satisfied. It exists to constantly remind us of its own impossibility.
Okay, I hear that, but I really have to push back here again. Let's translate Sartre into the reality of these two lovers. If the land is entirely barren, and if you know for a fact that the passion is fundamentally useless, isn't this just a massive, tragic waste of time?
Some would say yes.
I mean, we live in an era obsessed with return on investment. If a relationship or a project isn't yielding results, you pivot. You optimize.
You swipe away.
Exactly. If you know you are Sisyphus and the boulder's just going to roll back down, why not just drop the shovel? Why not walk away, go back to the comfortable, frictionless digital world, and swipe until you find something easier?
That is the essential question. It is the very question that would break most people. Why keep digging?
Yeah, why?
And the climax of the song provides the answer. It tells us precisely why they refuse to drop the shovel, despite the absolute impossibility of their situation.
Okay, so the final stanza in our stack of notes says, "We dance on the tightrope and keep rehearsing, dancing, and let slip a sweet arrivederci."
They don't drop the shovel. They don't optimize their feelings away. They dance on the tightrope.
They dance anyway.
Yes. This is where the philosophy of the album moves past Sartre's despair and embraces Albert Camus.
Another French philosopher.
All right. Camus looked at the myth of Sisyphus and made a radical claim. He said, we must imagine Sisyphus happy. He introduced the concept of the absurd hero.
Wait, how can Sisyphus possibly be happy? He's condemned to pointless labor forever.
Because the absurd hero is someone who recognizes the absolute absurdity and impossibility of their situation and yet refuses to surrender to it.
Oh, I see.
The guardian of the rose doesn't collapse into nihilistic despair, sobbing about how unfair the world is. But crucially, he also doesn't delude himself with toxic positivity.
He's not pretending.
Right. He's not pretending the barren land is suddenly going to grow crops if he just wishes hard enough. He knows the absolute truth. The land is dead, the boulder will fall, the love cannot exist in the daylight. But he chooses to dance anyway.
That is incredible. It's not denial, it's defiance.
Exactly. It is a supreme act of aesthetic defiance against a world that demands you either succeed or give up. Think about the feeling of knowing with 100% certainty that a relationship is doomed because of distance or timing or circumstance.
Yeah.
Instead of immediately detaching to protect yourself, which is what modern digital culture trains us to do, you decide to make the few days you have left incredibly beautiful. You smile while you push the boulder. That is the absurd hero.
And the specific word choice in those final lyrics adds such a heartbreaking layer to it. We dance on the tightrope and keep rehearsing.
The rehearsal.
Right, because normally a rehearsal is a preparation for the real thing. You rehearse for opening night. You rehearse for the moment you finally get to be together in the daylight.
Yes.
But what this tells us is that there is no opening night. The spring will never come. The endlessly repeated rehearsal on the tightrope is at the entire life.
Which perfectly mirrors the broader struggle of the artist, a theme that runs deep through the entire Lynnheage symphonic project.
How so?
The artist takes raw, chaotic, unmanageable emotion and tries to give it form through lyrics, through music, through symphonic arrangements.
Trying to capture the uncapturable.
Exactly. The artist knows perfectly well that the art will never fully capture the absolute truth of the feeling. The attempt is structurally doomed to fail.
Right.
But the act of creating, the act of endlessly rehearsing on that tightrope is the only authentic response to being alive.
So by remaining the guardian of the rose, by choosing to hold on to this medieval poison in a world overrun by digital mice and electric wires, they are transforming their quiet, tragic exile into a masterpiece of human endurance.
They absolutely are.
They know every single step forward on that tightrope is just a long, beautiful preparation for an inevitable arrivederci, a goodbye. But they take the step anyway because the alternative is to be numb.
It is a staggering testament to the sheer weight of human desire. We live in a world that constantly encourages us to detach.
Always.
If something is difficult, we swipe it away. If we feel discomfort, we distract ourselves with a screen. We are constantly trying to optimize our emotions into manageable data points.
It's all about frictionless living.
Right, but this song insists on the heavy, historical, tragic weight of truly feeling something, even if it destroys you.
It really forces a mirror up to how we live our own lives. I mean, think about your average Tuesday. You, listening to this right now, you likely spend a significant portion of your day navigating trivial digital feeds, managing your read receipts, participating in the performative noise of the public stage.
We all do.
You sit in the coffee shop and you make the magician's trick work. You disappear into normalcy. But this deep dive is a reminder that underneath all of those electric wires, underneath the convenience of the digital grid, you still possess an ancient mythic capacity for desire.
That medieval poison.
Exactly. It demands that you look inward and ask yourself, where are the barren lands in your own life? What is the impossible, unreasonable thing that you stubbornly, defiantly refuse to stop digging for?
And as we wrap up our analysis of these sources, I really want to leave you with one final lingering thought to mull over on your own.
Let's hear it.
We inhabit a modern, hyper-digital world that has been deliberately engineered by thousands of invisible forces to be perfectly frictionless, perfectly safe, and completely unbothered.
The mice running the show.
Right. So in a world designed to numb us to everything, is experiencing the agonizing, tragic weight of a medieval poison actually the only way left to prove to ourselves that we are still fully human?
Wow. That is a question that is going to echo for a long time. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey through the digital wires and ancient myths. We loved unpacking this exclusive look at Lynnheage symphonic with you, and we really can't wait to dive into our next stack of sources together. Until then, keep digging. Catch you next time.